Big Earl here from Veteran Trash Talk. We're honored to be sponsored by the Veterans Mortgage Source, powered by Canopy Mortgage. The Veterans Mortgage Source is our go-to, most trusted VA lender and can handle all your VA loan purchase and refinances. If you're in the market for a new home or refinance, give Corey a call or text at the number below, 808-699-7874, and him and his team will take great care of you, answer all of your questions, and guide you to the right program best for you. Great service, great rates, but most importantly, we trust them and know they will do the right thing to every veteran and their family. Now, trust the Big Earl here. No other veteran site will do this for you.
What's up, trash talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
And so my honesty cap is dedicated to a little, we'll call it a public service announcement for civilians and other people in the military. There are a few people that you should always take their stories with a grain of salt. Vegans, CrossFitters, and special operations guys that tell you that they were special operations without being prompted. And the first thing they say is, yeah, I used to be soft. Right. The only unicorn in that entire group is like a special operations guy that was like a vegan and did CrossFit. That guy's probably going to stay quiet for a little bit longer because he's confused as what he should talk about first. That's the only reason. All right. Anybody that says that they were soft without being prompted or without it being like a normal part of your communications is probably either an enabler or going to tell you a bunch of stuff that's not exactly true.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Hitting you up this morning with a special promo on how to dress when you are doing PT in civilians, but you want everybody to know you're an Army. This comes from the Buddy Beckwith fashion design of how to work out. So first, you can notice the RI panties. Not Ranger panties, but Ranger Instructor panties. The green socks, the knee brace for the old guys. Don't forget the M frames. Now the shirt, don't wear the Trash Talk shirt while you're running. This is just for the promo. You want to put on like an 80-second shirt or like your favorite airborne shirt so everybody knows that you're a veteran. That's the most important thing. And you start with this stretch. Buddy Beckwith taught me this one. Ready to go.
is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What is up, Gruntworks Nation? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 21 of the Trash Talk Hour. Special guest today is former Special Operations Soldier and author Sean Haggerty, and he will be discussing his book, Jones Point, We Hunt the Monsters Who Hunt Our Children. And as usual, I'm here with Buddy and Nick. Happy Saturday. Cheers.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
What's up?
Man, I've been traveling, bro. Been busy, but it's been good. Repping the Gulf of America shirt. Wore that one in the airport in California. That was nice.
How'd that work out for you?
Out of it, so yeah, it was nice. But
I have no idea what the back of that shirt said. So
it's the Gulf of America.
Buddy's wearing one of my favorite ones. Or no, you're not.
I
thought you were wearing just a tip shirt. Oh, you're wearing the
yeah,
the boom
I'm
shirt.
wearing the pager shirt.
Yeah, and I'm wearing the OG Gruntworks shirt. All right. For anybody that's watching right now, you can go to shop.veterantrashtalk.com and you can cop that shirt, or you can scan the QR code up there. I think that might actually be for his book. So Chris put up the QR code for the shirts as well.
That one's for our subscribers.
Yep.
I always it's always weird to me when we talk about what shirt we're wearing. Like, also, I'm not wearing underwear. If you wanted to know what, and blue jeans.
Prove it.
I got blue jeans on, no draws because I'm a man, like grown up. Anywho, I am proud that we have a special operations guy on that wrote a book and calls it fiction and doesn't call it an autobiography. That makes me happy.
Well, funny story about that, and we're going to get into a conspiracy before we get into the book. I texted both of you guys, so I'm excited to get into this book, but I didn't even I just saw the front and I jumped right into it as soon as I had it and got to page 60 until I realized that it was fiction and it wasn't real, but you had me wrapped into it. I love the book, and we're going to get into all that, but I was like, the author did a really good job, but the whole time I was like, damn, this is some deep shit. And it is deep shit, but yeah, it wasn't real. I was like, shit.
Yeah, hey, buddy, Karen Wedlake says, Gulf of America, love it. That's why I talked about my shirt, buddy.
You didn't explain anything. I don't know if you know.
She loves it, though. She loves it. She hasn't loved anything you just said yet. She has not loved one thing you said.
I'm gonna have to now. I have to Google Gulf of America.
Yeah, I think you're tracking what Gulf of America is right now.
Yeah, I think you are. But
oh yeah,
anyway.
I've been watching the news.
I have not actually. I have been busy doing work. Like
you were getting a car in South Carolina.
Atlanta.
Car was in Atlanta.
Atlanta, sorry, same thing.
Yeah. And then I had to work on my own. So had things going on.
But anywho, let's kick this
Dave's
show
mom's
off.
watching. Hi, Dave's mom.
Hi, Mom. Love you.
Yeah.
Says hello from cold, icy Virginia. Yeah. Yeah, it's about 70 here right now in AZ, so no complaints. But let's get into the conspiracy that I found yesterday. Or the day before yesterday. I can't remember. It's pretty cool. We've been doing a lot of politics lately, but I figured we'd do something fun again. And guess what? It's my favorite topic. So I was watching a TikTok video, and then I watched the whole episode on Joe Rogan, and he had this whistleblower on there. Have you guys heard about the alien incident in 1994 in Nellis Air Force Base? Anybody? No? Okay.
No.
So 1994, Nellis Air Force Base. It was the winter of 1994. There were a bunch of UFO sightings, and some of those sightings were released in the congressional that's been happening, or the congressionals that have been happening. And there's this new whistleblower. His name is Jason Sands. He was an E8 in the Air Force, and apparently he was part of these black projects. Well, long story short, there was these sightings going on for a week, and then they drove out into the desert, and they came across an alien. And he explains his sighting with this alien, or his interaction with this alien, in the video that Chris is about to show, and then we'll go from there. But there's a whole podcast on it, Joe Rogan. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. So, Chris, play the video.
Please.
There's this guy. It looks like he's wearing a uniform like we are. He got bell dress uniform on. So he's he sees us and he starts to look like he's running, and he's got this really weird run, like his arms are kind of flailing behind him. It's like he was running against the hurricane wind, and it was like he was going to fall over at any time. And I was like, yeah, it's a bit windy today, but it ain't that bad. So it looked really strange. And then I began to notice his skin tone looked like he might be hypothermic. And I'm thinking, oh crap, this dude's been out here. It's freaking freezing out here, because it was a very cold day and the wind was blowing. It was, those cold days where it didn't matter how many layers you had on. And so as we're getting closer, I'm talking to the ranking guy. Hey, we need to slow down. So anyway, I'm thinking this guy's probably in big trouble. I need to pull off my jacket. I need to give him something to get warm real quick. So I'm starting to do that, and we're approaching. And by the time I get my jacket most of the way off, he's right there at the corner of the front of the car. And
so he looks pale? Is that what you're saying?
He looked like an albino with a very bluish kind of undertone. If you could imagine,
So you're assuming you're immediately associating that with he's freezing.
Yeah, because that's all I could equate it to.
Right.
And then as I'm starting to open my door to try to administer aid to this guy, the dude in the front passenger seat screams he's got no ears. And I thought that was pretty rude, because I was like, the guy's in trouble.
Does he have a hat on? He's
got a hat on, and he's got BDUs that look absolutely clean, pristine. And when you're uprange, you do not wear your cleanest uniform. You're in a dirty environment. You wear your scuffed up boots. You don't take them with you.
So he's got a clean battle dress uniform.
Everything.
United States military
very out of place. Yeah, it looks very out of place when I finally do it. But anyway, I step out onto the roadway, and this guy screams that he's got no ears. And I just thinking it's really rude. And then I close the door and I look up and he's got no freaking ears. And his eyes are twice as big. And I'm like, yeah, what the hell did I just walk into? This guy's not from around
How
here.
far away from him are you?
Probably from me to
just a few
Logan.
feet.
Yeah, just talking distance.
Okay.
And I'm starting to freak out. But then he starts to talk to me, and it's not my language, but it's coming to the understanding is like coming into my mind about every word he's saying.
So he's actually saying words.
He's saying words, but it doesn't sound like anything I've heard before.
But you're understanding what he's saying.
But I'm understanding. So I know there's a telepathic thing going on here, and it calms me down at the same time because I'm having to respond to him. And he's like, hello, I'm having trouble with my craft. I need some repair material. Do you know where I could find some tritium? And this is what he's talking to me about. And I'm like, you mean titanium? Because I didn't know anything about tritium at the time. But titanium, he's like, no, it's not it. And I'm like, well, at this point in my career, I had just left the program. So I knew where Dreamland was. And I pointed to the mountain range because you can see for days in the desert. But I pointed towards the mountain range and I said, Dreamland's just over there.
Okay. So, the story continues, and then apparently this alien jumped into his spaceship and took off.
Without
and
the
again,
titanium.
Yeah, without the tritium or whatever he's asking for. So I'm big into the alien thing and UFOs, and I believe in all that. And again, there were sightings the week before. Okay, they have been released that there were UFOs flying over Nellis Air Force Base, so that occurred. This guy definitely served in the Air Force. Okay, so he's not he was in the Air Force. You can Google it. You can find him. He was an E8, got out of the Air Force. Whether he was part of these black projects, who knows? But I don't know. I don't believe him. I hate to say it. He's referring to Humvees as cars and stuff, and he just I don't know, his mannerisms and the way he's talking. Maybe he was nervous to be on Joe Rogan, right? Because it's
how did he get on Joe Rogan?
Because there's this guy who does all these whistleblower things, UFO, alien documentaries, really well known. I forgot the name of the guy. And he's interviewed him, and he really believes this guy.
No idea who it is.
I forgot the name, dude. I forgot the name. I'll Google it. But he's been on Joe Rogan multiple times because Joe Rogan's super fascinated with the whole alien and UFO phenomena. And he had interviewed this Jason Sands guy and says you need to get him on the show. So that's how he got on Joe Rogan. But I don't know. I don't believe it. I don't know. I feel like that guy gives me this vibe like he's fucking lying about everything that he's saying. But the whole podcast, he's talking about different alien races and this project that he was part of in the Air Force. And we know Nellis Air Force Base and all that shit out there, like Area 51, like Dreamland, all that shit is out there, right? But I just don't buy it. I don't buy his story. I don't think he encountered an alien on that day, and that's my take.
Didn't we do a show about Dreamland?
We have.
Yeah.
Yep. Area 51 and all that stuff. Yeah. Yep. I don't buy it. I don't think that happened. Sean, have you heard of this story?
I have
Can't
heard
talk
of
about it. I'm just kidding.
No, I've heard of these stories. I've actually lived out there for 2 years, so I kind of call BS on this for two reasons. One, I have absolutely no faith in the U.S. government that they can keep a freaking secret.
Mhm.
Number two, if you ever go out in that area and all the nuclear testing they did, there's a town north of there called Pahrump. Oh my God. Go into a Walmart in Pahrump. I swear I think people have tails. So I would not be surprised to have all these bizarre people walking around the desert. They sell rattlesnakes and meth. So it's just a recipe for disaster. I don't believe any of it.
Unreal. Okay.
What's this town called?
Yeah, we need to.
It's called Pahrump, and that's where prostitution is legal. You can go all your bunny ranches and cherry ranches out there, and it's just a wild area.
Interesting. Do you believe at all into like the UAP or alien phenomena? Like, do you think that's a thing, or are you completely like anytime you hear it?
I by no means do I think we're alone in this huge whole universe, but I still, like I said, I don't think the government's keeping it from us because I don't think they're able to.
Fair. Buddy, what's your take on this?
So I really didn't have a take until Sean talked, and now I feel like it's a meth head, and that's why like his ears probably got blown off in some kind of weird meth explosion, and then his eyes were just really big because
he was high as fuck.
You know what I mean? That's what meth do. It'd be making your eyes big.
Rattlesnake.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of both. And he was just cold, and he used to be in the Air Force. I don't really know, but I don't think so. I don't.
No. Not buying it.
Not buying it.
Okay, Nick, what you got?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of. I'm going to go 70-30 true. I think it's a little bit of what Sean's saying, that it could be just a dude that and what Buddy said, did a lot of meth, maybe bit by a snake, exposed to nuclear radiation studies, all this kind of stuff,
and
right?
cold as fuck, right? Because it was
right. So it could be all of the above. So I'm gonna go. There's so that has to be using genius math. That's got to be like 30% chance of being false. But here's where it's true, and I always go back to it. It's movies, right? Hollywood does things on the government's behalf to make us make us more dull to when the truth comes out. And I've literally used this movie twice now in the last 3 days. Independence Day. Right. What day?
I don't remember any meth heads in Independence Day, but
and there was a drunk guy.
The pilot guy. He was drunk. That's a downer, not a.
I'm just saying. I think we weren't ready for meth on the big screen yet. But we do that now. We literally started an entire series about cooking and selling meth that went really viral. It's to just make you more numb to it. But there's also the point of the government spending. When the president it goes in their Independence Day and he goes, "How are we paying for all this?" And the old crusty dad in there is like, "Well, you don't really think it costs $25,000 for a hammer, do you?" So yeah, I think the base where it's at, and I think it's got to be just maybe it's a drunk alien. Right, just wandering around. We just had
an alien on meth. A little bit of both. A little
bit of both.
Column A, little column B.
I mean, again, how did he get on Joe Rogan?
Yeah, because obviously people believe his story, and apparently he's going to be a whistleblower at one of these congressionals. So who knows? Maybe it was a thing, but I don't know. Just the way he talks, man. I've seen, we've covered some of the alien abductions and stuff, and some of the people in those videos, and I don't know, they just seem like they're really good actors then, I guess. This guy just didn't seem, I don't know. There's just something about his mannerisms, his body language, where I felt
what I didn't like
You have to
from the
stop
guy's
saying
story.
mannerisms the way you're saying mannerisms. If you want us to believe that you know what mannerisms mean, by the way, there's no.
Well, maybe he read Phil Hellmuth's book on poker tells.
It's mannerism,
Yeah.
not mannerism. Like you're
Hey,
giving
he
me
speaks
mannerisms.
languages, buddy. Maybe he just
Yeah, I speak multiple languages, buddy. I can
Yeah.
excuse myself from that. Thank you.
I do too, but
Yeah.
it's driving me nuts. Also, this conversation is driving me nuts because it's making my head do weird things. Like when you start talking about selling snakes and meth, I was like, well, maybe it's some new religion. You know, like in the South, they used to have the guys that like handled snakes.
They still have those guys, the Pentecostals, man.
But maybe, but maybe they like went west, made a new one where they hold snakes and take meth. They call it Methodist. Bada bing. Anyway.
See what you did there.
Yeah,
good one.
that's what's going on in my head right now, and I don't like it.
I don't like how it was, speaking telepathically to this person. So obviously controlling his brainwaves, much like they did in Independence Day, right? When he speaks through him, right? Release me, right? Like, and then he controlled the president's head to where he's like, I've seen what they planned on doing. And so he's like, nuke them all, right? Like these are real stories that are happening here, and they were just desensitizing us to it. But if he can control his brain telepathically, much like a Jedi, like doesn't he know where the Trentinium is?
Yeah. Good point, right?
Right. Like, why is he controlling a guy's brain and then asking him a question? Doesn't he have access to the brain? So, maybe 70-30 false.
Yeah. And then what was funny, if you watch the Joe Rogan podcast, and we'll get off this topic here, he tells him, and he points him to like Area 51 or in the direction of those places, and the alien tells him, I'm not going to those barbarians and murderers over there. Like, it gets crazy. You just got to watch the episode because the interaction went a little longer, and then he just wobbles off and gets into a spaceship and flies off. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's too far fetched for me. I'm not buying it. Okay. But anyhow, buddy, what you got before we get to our guest?
Well, two things. First of all, I had to read the comments, and now I know what your shirt says. Maybe it's because I'm from Alabama. So the way Alabamians pronounce golf is sometimes a little askewed. I thought you were saying golf, not golf.
Oh, golf.
Yeah. So when you said golf of America, I thought you were saying Golf of America, and I was like, okay, like I don't get it. So
the O's and the O's for a Wisconsin accent are tough, right?
Yeah. So you got me. And then so I have two little honesty cap things to go over today. And the first one is, have you ever heard a song that was popular like 20 years ago, and then you heard it and you just finally listened to the lyrics and you're like, what the fuck were we listening to?
Like Nelly.
No. More specifically, the song Jesus Takes the Wheel by Carrie Underwood. Have you ever actually thought about the lyrics of that song? I'll read them to you. I got them already pulled up. Don't worry. It starts, she was driving last Friday on her way to Cincinnati on a snow white Christmas Eve, going home to see her mom and her dad with a baby in the back seat. So let's set the mood. We're driving. We're driving. We got a kid in the back. All right. Cool. It's snowy. It's cold. All right. 50 miles to go. She's running low on faith and gasoline. It's been a long, hard year. She's got a lot on her mind. Not a big deal. She was driving way too fast. So we're already fucked up. All right. In the car. It's snowing. We're driving like a fucking maniac. Whatever. Anyway, before she knew it, she was spinning on a thin black sheet of glass. So she hits some ice, car's spinning. Now, where I have a problem with this entire song is coming up in these lyrics. And I just like read them and thought about listened to it. And I was like, this chick is ridiculous. Anyway, so she's spinning on a thin black sheet of glass. She saw both their lives flash before her eyes. She didn't even have time to cry. No shit, you're spinning in the middle of the road in your car. What would crying do to help anything anyway? It's weird that you would go there, but whatever. It rhymes, so maybe it's just in the scheme. She was so scared. What does she do? She throws her hands up in the air. Gets better.
And then comes the
Then
hook.
it goes, Jesus, take the wheel. Take it from my hands because I can't do this on my own. No shit, you can't do it on your own. You're not doing anything at this point. You're just riding in a fucking roller coaster that is a 3,000-pound missile spinning on the road with your baby in the back, and you're just like, well, fuck it.
Fuck.
Jesus, take the wheel. I can't do anything. I'm gonna have to have my spirit. Jesus has got nothing going on. He's just like, oh, this chick is driving. I
got you.
Pay attention because she's clearly not paying attention and clearly doesn't know what to do in a skid. Anywho, and you're like, it was getting colder. She pulls over and she looks back and sees the baby in the back seat and starts crying. And then Jesus, take the wheel, take it from my hands, the whole thing. Here's my problem. If that actually happened, like the whole time I'm listening to the song and like reading the lyrics, I'm like, someone should call child services. That baby needs help. When everything is going completely wrong and you're careening off of the road towards like the embankment or a tree or whatever, your go-to is just you're not doing anything.
It might be better than trying to correct in ice, not knowing how to correct on black ice.
Nope. In fact, the best thing to do is take your foot off the gas and hold the steering wheel. Just hold it.
Yeah, just hold it straight.
Yeah, but not just let it go. Hoping that Jesus is going to jump in from the back seat and steer your car to the correct.
Not anymore. Ain't no more.
The
Jesus is around.
The song is fucking insane. When you listen to and read the lyrics, it is insane. It's insane that this was like a number one song, and people were just like, girls were just like, oh my God, Jesus takes the wheel. Like that saying drives me nuts anyway. Like that one and let go and let God. Like God gave you free will. So you could probably do something, like anything. No, you're not doing anything. Like your thing is like, I'm not doing anything. Like I'm just not gonna do anything. World peace up here, like the Gaza Strip and Israel up here. You not knowing how to control your car in the driving conditions that you're driving in. And Jesus is just like, hold up, chill out, all you people killing each other. Maybe that's why the world is so screwed up right now. He's so busy with blonde
taking the wheel
that he's doing driving lessons. He can't actually take care of like the rest of the world. Like maybe if people started driving better and like actually holding onto the wheel, maybe it would be better. All right. That's number one. Number two thing that happened, and Nick said it before, we talk about what triggers us. That's what we do. This triggered me. I'm actually a little ashamed of it, but I'm also not ashamed. So whatever. I go into Publix this week, had to go buy some hamburger meat. I'm looking around. I see a package of ground Kobe beef hamburger meat. If you buy Kobe beef that's ground, you should at minimum lose all your money right then to somebody who's not an idiot. Like instantly they should take all of your debit card, everything, because you don't have the ability to spend your money correctly. You should lose all of it because you're that stupid. If you get caught because you cooked it and then you bragged about like the hamburger you made, you should be drawn and quartered by 4 slovenly drunken bovines. That's what should happen. You're ridiculous. Like the point of Kobe beef is that it's marbled with fat. And when you cook the steak, it's real tender and it tastes beefy and like with fat and all that other garbage is in it. If you ground it up, you might as well just go grab like a regular sirloin and a bunch of extra fat and ground it up together. But Kobe beef, you're an idiot. You're pouring most of it down the drain or in the trash can or wherever you do with your grease. I got city sewer. I don't care about it.
Damn.
What if it's like a weird flex that you just like even your tacos
Lose
are
all your
Kobe
money
beef?
immediately. All your money immediately gone. Yep.
Interesting.
Immediately gone.
Megan says, have you seen people drive in the Middle East before? Jesus
Yes.
might not be the one you want grabbing the wheel. Yes. We all have seen, but the Middle East is different, right? Like, are we talking like Dubai or? Because
I gotta say,
there's some princes there with Lambos that don't give a shit about any rules,
Yeah,
so.
that's what I'm saying. I've seen a lot of people drive in a lot of Middle Eastern countries, and Megan is actually, she has hit the nail squarely on the head.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you may want St. Michael or somebody else to grab that wheel.
Yeah.
At that point, it is like lost cause.
Did you stick around to see if anybody bought the Kobe ground beef?
No, because I was armed and I might have shot them.
Jesus.
True.
This is what gets us kicked off of Gruntworks.
Yeah.
Citing violence, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah.
It was just a joke, Mark. All right. You're supposed to be changing your algorithm to more normal people like us. All right. So it's just a joke.
Everything's going to be all right. Go eat your Kobe beef
Doge on you,
nerd.
Yeah.
You could trick people into buying it and then take all their money. That'd be good.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I get to introduce our guest. What is he sharing with me? So, yeah, put that QR code up there. Chris, you in the background? You listening? He's too busy texting people right now. But yeah, the QR code up there, if you want to buy Sean's book, is right there. So throughout the show, give us a share, give us a like. Thanks for watching and all that good stuff. But Sean was introduced to me by a good friend of ours who's been on the show before and was my old company commander back in the day, old Mike Orloff. And apparently he knew this guy named Sean who wrote a book. And I was like, oh, great. Another special operations guy who wrote a book. We're going to find out what it's like to go through selection or something like that. But no, it's actually really, really well written. And Dave already hit it earlier. I don't know. Did you say it on the show or
I did.
I kind of got lost on when the show actually started because of our producer screwing things up. But
yeah, Chris. Is
you get into it and it's so well written that you almost think it's real right from the start.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to hit the main point of before I get it, did you actually ever work with Mike?
Oh God, yes. When I arrived at Ranger Regiment as a brand new E4, I was assigned to Sergeant Orloff's team.
Oh God.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk about dealing with Napoleon complex like immediately. Like how was that getting yelled at somebody who was like 5'1"? Like trying to be like, I have a Ranger tabs.
It was actually kind of funny because I did, but I came from college. So, all the names that applied there. So I was like the biggest piece of shit because I wanted to educate myself. But boy, after hours, when they were working on their papers or needed to do some stuff, old Hag really came through helping him out all of a sudden. It was like, hey, can you help us with this? So I found that kind of funny.
Nice. All right. Well, welcome to the dumpster fire that is Veteran Trash Talk and Gruntworks. Tell us a little bit about your service and then, post service and you deciding to write a book, what inspired you, all that good stuff. The floor is yours.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. My service was about 25 and some change. I met Mike because that's where I was first assigned, was to the Ranger Regiment. So I spent almost 9 years in regiment, a couple deployments with them. And then I went to selection in 2005. And then 2006, I came up to the Virginia area up here at USAC and kind of finished out my career. I retired December 31st, 2021, which put me out on New Year's Eve. So that was actually a hell of a party we had here down at the VFW.
Nice. Yeah.
Contracted for a couple of years with the Army because I was kind of high paced in my career. It was like I need a break. So that was horrible. So about a year ago, I got picked up as a Fed working on the Pentagon, which, as bad as that may sound, I work for the Defense Science Board. So it's actually very interesting. It's basically all professionals and scientists from around the country come together and crash. I'm like, hey, we need sharks with laser beams, and these people figure out how to do it. So it is actually kind of interesting. I've heard a lot of cats. There's some great people, but it's also a lot of academics. So, I help them move across the street. So I actually got a trip out of it. I got to go to the USS Nimitz. I got to go out there for 30 hours. That was really cool. We stand on there, jets taking off, and being an Army guy, never got exposure to that before, so that was pretty neat. So, and the book just came out of just kind of goofing off writing when I was transitioning out. I went to one of those foundations, and it was Commit. Great people, don't get me wrong. But they kept, you got to pursue your passion. You've got to, redo your life and do what you want. I'm like, no, man, I got to pay a mortgage. So as much as I'd like to write, I'd still kind of like to pay that mortgage. So I just was dabbling with it for some little classes. Sat down one day and I did a word count on the computer. It was like, oh shit, I got 30,000 words. And I'm like looking up on Google. I'm like, 90,000 is a thriller novel. So let's go. So I just finished it up. It was a lot of fun. I actually just finished number 2, so that's coming out soon.
Nice.
And working on right now number 3. So I don't know. It just kind of in my spare time. It's something I like to do. And I did not want to write a nonfiction.
That's awesome.
Is there anything that you can tell us from?
Oh, go
ahead, Dave. Sorry.
I was just going to ask mainly, obviously, the story on this book, is a child kidnapping, and then kind of getting into that field to hunt other child, predators and things of that nature. What inspired that story in itself? Was it something a situation that might have occurred to somebody or what kind of gave you that inspiration to focus and hone in on that topic?
I think it was because I had deployed so much and was always gone, and I have 2 daughters. They're grown now, but I'm not really sure. I just kind of started writing the story, and I was like, what would I do? Would I just sit back? And again, I tried to make it realistic because it was like, I like the old Charles Bronson movies. Remember those? Would I just run around and start killing everybody? No. But at the same time, would I just sit still? And it's like, what would you do? And that's kind of how I kind of wove that in. I always tell people, because one of the things a lot of people have asked me at book signs is just like that movie Taken. I was like, all right, first of all, I love that movie Taken. And I don't want Liam Neeson hunting me down, so I got to say it. But it's the complete opposite. I mean, the dude was literally at a barbecue with all his retired CIA contractor buddies, and then goes home and finds out she's kidnapped, and then goes alone. So why would you go alone? I'd be taking 10 or 15 pipe swingers with me. We cover more ground, right?
Yeah.
When my daughter went to college, it's like, hey, you've got Live 360. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care where you're partying. I don't care any of that. But leave it on. Because if something happens and you're missing, I need to know where to start on campus, where to start. I don't want to start innocently killing down at this fraternity. Let me get farther across campus and get a good starting point for you. Because I don't want to be that guy. So, like I said, a lot of it is my emotions, what I would do, how I would feel, I guess. Again, not me, but I use my emotions.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's a definitely something that I found. What you're saying is now you think about it and put it in perspective of other movies that we've seen or screenplays where it's why the hell would he go alone? What the hell is he doing? So, but go back a little bit about the book, working for the science thing. Is there anything that you can talk about that you were a part of?
Not really. I mean, they have a public-facing website. Unfortunately, most of the work is at a higher classification level, but they do publish. They have to. We have to abide by what's called FACA law, which for the Federal Advisory Committee Act, and how they have to. It's because it's your taxpayer dollar. We don't pay them, but we pay to have facilities. We pay to have contractors help write reports. We pay their travel. So. Hopefully, if Elon, you're listening, we are fully transparent with our funds where they go. So do not, please do not hack our office. We are doing very good with very limited funding. But yeah, it's just really neat. It's some of the stuff I get involved in. But also sometimes too, I mean, I'm a ground pounder. they speak dolphin in some of these meetings, and ones and zeros and the science behind laser beams. And I just don't. A lot of times I sit in the back and doodle. That's all I could do.
Well, talk about the writing experience, and is there anything that, like you said, you were playing around with it, but we know that that's some of like the imposter syndrome. But like, what really drove you to the writing? Like, and what did you get out of it?
I think I've always been kind of a writer. I did my undergraduate, my graduate actually history, and that's why everyone thought I was going to write a history book. Like, your entire life has been history, American military history. I'm like, yeah, but and again, it's nothing against all the other authors out there for the nonfiction, but I don't want to hear another story about time over there. And I don't think I have anything particular to tell. Yeah, I got some funny stories. I used to write for a blog, and I would tell some funny stories. And people, the American public knows a lot about the war. A lot of them don't know about some of the jackassery behindhand. Funny things that have happened, and what have you. I just felt like I didn't have a compelling enough story to tell, nor did I want to. I am writing like my own private memoirs, and that'll be locked in my safe because I'm probably breaking classifications, but that'll be something my kids can one day go, what did you really do? And I go, oh shit. But that's not for the public. That's for my family. It's kind of the way I feel. I don't think people really need to hear the whole story anyway.
I'm just proud that a special operations guy wrote a book and called it, and it is fiction instead of writing a book that's fiction and calling it an autobiography. Like,
I've been seeing some of those things fly around the internet. So that's
yeah.
That's been brutal.
Yeah.
No, actually, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I do have a guy I used to work with who reached out to me recently, and he's actually is working on a true book, but he's actually on the enabler side. And he's writing it as an enabler. He's like, he goes, hey, I was not out there making the touchdowns. He's like, but I think people don't realize a lot of behind the scenes, especially in unique situations. And he was a great dude. So I was like, interesting. He's like, hey, would you be a beta reader, this and that? I'm like, I will absolutely do that. I like that you're telling that story. He's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. Everything's happening in the background. So it's pretty interesting. He's just I think he's almost done with it. So I'm looking forward to reading this draft. And I told him I'd help him any way I can.
Did you have to do a bunch of research for your book and so that it kind of jived or how did you do that if you did?
So the entire book is in this Virginia, kind of Maryland, DC area. I jumped to New York in a little bit if you guys read the whole thing, but mostly in this area. So every single place that I describe, I've walked the ground. Mm-hmm. I've gone to the parks. There's a SDR route, and one of the things I actually went and drove it, so I made sure it was right to turns and all that. And then I have a lot of FBI friends. My sister's a cop, so some of that kind of stuff was very, very, very helpful. Did a lot of walking around DC because there's a lot of stuff in DC. So a lot of it was just not necessarily researching. You can get to be an expert on ballistics for this and that, because I try not to get into a lot of that. Because one, I'm not an expert. Two, it kind of leaves some up to the imagination, some of the finer details. But I wanted you to know, like, when people see Jones Point and they look at the back of the book and then they see about it in the book, they go, holy shit, that's the famous lighthouse underneath the Woodrow Wilson Bridge connecting Virginia to Maryland. I had actually one guy, because I didn't say the specific street where the daughter was kidnapped from, but I described the general area, and he read the book and he's like, dude, that's my street. I live on that street. I was like, oh, sorry about that.
Have you had a lot of success with the book so far, and where is it? Like Amazon?
Yeah, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, couple indie bookstores, couple Barnes and Noble. I've done a couple signings. I did a Bragg signing. I did a signing at Fort Belvoir. Going to MacDill at the end of April. I think 29th I'll be at MacDill signing down there. So it's doing well. It's like anything else. I keep my day job. It's marketing and getting it out there, and I don't have only so many hours in the day. But my publisher is very small, a great group of folks, but again, they're not one of the big, huge publishers. I've actually talked to Jack Carr, but I don't have like the team behind like he does to promote those books. The book is in Hollywood. There is an actor interested in it, an agent right now, but we're still just in the nascent stages of talking.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it just easily could be a movie. It's just really well written. And then you spoke about it earlier, like the interactions between like Dane and Tyler, deployed and the
Yeah.
bullshit and even under fire. Like we can all relate. That's why it was so realistic to me. And then I'm in page 60 and I'm like, oh, okay, this was fiction. But like even the storyline, the way she was, kidnapped, and I don't want to throw too much out there with people buy the book and read it, but with the German Shepherd and it's really good. So if you're watching Trash Talkers, definitely check out that link that we just posted and grab that book. It's a good read.
And or scan the QR code, like we said, it goes right to it.
Yep.
And then again, we tell people, because we, this show in the last couple of years doing Veteran Trash Talk, we've met a lot of people that do a lot of different things in the veteran community, first responder community. So we do have a lot of connections to where we'll talk afterwards and stay connected. But I'd be interested to see where this is in Hollywood as well, because I live right down the road now, so I can talk to some of those people in person and find out what's going on. What recommendations would you give to somebody who is thinking about writing a fiction book that is coming from a more kinetic side of the military, and then writing fiction? What did you have troubles like trying to separate it, or did it just fuel it more?
Well, so I will say this. So again, and like I tell everybody, it's not a military book, it's military informed. Every single, so there's not a lot of military action in the book, but all those things are somewhat true in nature, but I've exaggerated, or I've changed them, or this and that, but it's still the same theme. So I wanted to keep the realism. And then the other spots, like when he's back in his unit, the trash talk and this and that. I mean, that's what we do, right? I mean, that flowed completely easy. I just tell everyone, be genuine. You don't have to, have this big, huge, oh my God moment story with Thor's hammer to make people interested. You just got to have a true, honest story that'll keep people engaged. So I just tell people, because I do talk to a lot of writers, a lot of guys up and coming, and it is fun. They look to me like, well, you're a published author. I'm like, okay, I've sold a couple hundred books. Relax, I'm not up there. I appreciate it, but I'll help you out any way I can. And actually, it's fun talking about pitfalls.
Yeah, and then you mentioned there's a second book coming out right now. Is it kind of the same, or like? So this is your first book that you've published, correct?
So I'll let the cat out of the bag. People will still like it, I hope. It's actually a 3-part series. When I framed it initially, I framed it for 3 books. So the second book is with the publisher. It's called Cabal, and it'll launch June 6th here in October.
Nice.
And then the third installment, I'm hoping for early 2026. We'll see. We'll see how much time I get. I take a 45-minute bus into the Pentagon and a 45-minute bus out. That's where I write. And then my wife got me one of those Remarkables. I don't have it here. And I handwrite it on the bus, and then I set it here at the computer. It zaps right in, and then I just edit from there. So it's all handwritten.
Nice.
Yeah, everything's handwritten. I can't type and write very well. I like to handwrite. It helps me. But yeah,
you don't take the slug approach to get to the Pentagon?
No, I've never done that, and I don't think I want to. I don't know. I've worked for some people, but they pay it anyway. I mean, Uncle Sam pays me not to drive my car and pays my bus fare. And it's not. Don't be thinking city bus. It's like one of those nice charters. It's beautiful. I get on the bus, I'm comfortable as hell, and I chomp right into work, right to the front door.
Jerry said he just bought the book. He's like, I'll have to get it.
That was my mom.
Sometime.
She just bought the book.
Yeah,
she's in Virginia too. Yeah,
nice. And then
they're by Lake Frederick. Yeah.
And we got Rick Griffin checking in from North Carolina, Army vet. What's up, Rick? Thanks for coming on. And those of you watching, those of you listening on the podcast later, if our producer ever puts it up, go get the book at I can just read it there, bluehandlepublishing.com /Sean-Haggerty. I'm sure if you just look it up on there, Jones Point, it'll come up. But scan that QR code up there as well, and help promote a veteran author. And again, we do everything we can here on this show to help people out. And as far as getting, and again, we've already sold one, so I think that's made the hour worth it for sure. And I'm sure we'll sell a few more. We do pretty well with authors on here.
And I held the buddy's rule. You guys said I was soft first. I didn't say it first.
Yeah.
Right.
See, that's how it works.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. I mean, let us
But
brag about
I mean, it does say it on the book.
Yeah, you
It
did.
does say it on.
I know. I kind of publisher put that on. I was like, guys, it's getting a little cheesy, but oh well.
No, there's nothing wrong.
And
with
then
that.
there are
Is there
the
any
triggers,
type
like,
of obviously?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you're good.
Yeah, there are the triggers.
I was
like
just gonna
that.
say we mentioned. Nick, go.
You tell me to go, I go. Buddy, don't shake it.
Yeah, then you said go ahead.
You know, Buddy's triggers that he talked about pre-show about, you know, talking about operators. It's just like LinkedIn, you know, like if your first thing under you is, you know, special operator, like, am I hiring you to go kill somebody? Like, or am I hiring you to be an accountant? Like what do we got here?
Exactly.
Yeah, but if you can sneak up on the account books. Yeah.
Right. Right. Or maybe they want a dirty accountant. Somebody
deny entry to buildings. Yeah, right. You got to secure buildings and deny entry.
Exactly. Oh man, that's too funny. What were you saying, Dave? Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, we mentioned obviously where the book is available. Is there any type of social media people can follow you, or a website or anything to like keep track or like know when the next book's coming out? Anything
So
like that?
I have authorseanhaggerty.com is actually my website. I don't have the skills to run it, so it gets updated like once a month. But I'm out on Facebook, Instagram. I push stuff out. LinkedIn I use a lot. Don't worry, it doesn't say soft, it says author. But I use that really to push out. That's kind of like how, like, you know, I talked to Mike, but that's how, like, Mike saw that and saw the stuff there and was like, oh shit, you're doing the book, and you know, start connecting linkages like that. Actually, I joke with people, LinkedIn's been my most powerful network. I think it's because mail and you spread all over the world. It's really been very, very helpful for me.
And did you say when you were talking earlier the commit about, you know, was that the Commit Foundation? Is that what you were talking about?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, LinkedIn, small world. The CEO, that's JC. You know, he's been, we call him VTT's heartthrob. We got a lot of fans that like when he comes on. They think he's good looking. So JC's been on the show a few times, and he's the CEO of the Commit Foundation now.
Yeah, no, that's what I went through it was great. I mean, it was by no means, like I said, not disparaging them at all. All of them, when guys are getting out of the service, it just seems to me I think we need to be a little bit more realistic sometimes with folks. That's all. I mean, the chase your dreams is great, but usually what of us, we're getting out, right? We're early, maybe mid 40s. We've got, you know, kids maybe getting ready to college. I mean, I would love to, I always say pursue your dreams, but be realistic.
Yeah, it's easy to say to pursue your dreams, but it's hard to eat while you're pursuing those dreams if they pay a lot.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's only so many contracting companies in the world. God, everybody seems to have one nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a consultant. Yeah. Now, I always go back to like what on that topic. I like to go back to like when we had Troxel on the show one of the times, and you know he's walking around the Pentagon, and they're like, "Oh, what are you going to do when you get out, Sergeant Major? You're going to go do range control?" You know, and he's like, "No." He's like, "I'm going to go compete and take your fucking job. Whatever. Like, I'm going to go be in a board position." Like, and he's starting a new thing too. I wish I'd remember the name. Chris probably will remember, but he's pushing a new thing too, where it's literally just making the enlisted guys that get out, like, you can compete. You can go and get, you know, a good high paying job. You have a lot of skills. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head, because I got out as an E9, and I'm up there in the government. I went to, actually, it was funny. My first meeting, it was a full bird colonel who ran that shop. And he went through all the stuff, and he's like, all right, his last kind of thing to me was, you know, the one thing guys have a problem with is they transition out of the military and they're not used to being in charge anymore. And I told him, listen, it's not going to be a problem. I was an NCO. I'll give you all the advice you want. You don't follow it, that's your problem. It's like, yeah, you're hired.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys aren't shooting for the fences. They're just shooting for
it's the fixed mindset where they get beat down into that. Like, you got to go, you get out, you either got to go be a cop, which there's nothing wrong with going to go do, or you got to go, into contracting, like you said, like you got to go. You got to grow a beard and sell shirts, start a podcast. I mean, who does that shit, right? So like,
Idiots.
idiots. Maybe sell some coffee, right? Like,
There you go.
But
you get told enough that when you get out of the military, you're not gonna amount to anything. You're gonna just be a bum. Like at some point, you start to at some level you start to believe it.
right.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, hopefully that's the things those foundations are fixing, you know, and again, I hope they get more access because I know not everybody gets access to those. So, you know, maybe that's something there that could really, because even that, like I had a guy, they linked me up with a guy to do my resume. And I had sent it to him beforehand and we had 1 hour. We jumped on the Zoom call. I forgot his name. I have it written down somewhere. And I was like, hey, good to meet you. He's like, hey, we got an hour. So you're going to be quiet. You're going to start taking notes. I was like, oh, so you looked up and stop it. This is junk. We're fixing this now. We got 59 minutes. And he fixed my whole resume. And I've given that template to other guys getting out. I'm like, hey, if you don't have access, this is what he was, Fortune 500 headhunter. I'm like, so this is what he says he looks for. This is what he does not want on here. I remember first thing, he's like, your address. What are we, pen pals? It ain't happening. Get that off there. I don't need it. I need your email and your phone number. That's it. Okay. But it was helpful.
Yeah, I'm going to hit that point too, just to go back, that what Troxel's starting, I think it's on the border of Oklahoma and I forget where it is, but the University of Health and Performance, where they're bringing in a lot of enlisted guys to, you know, get, you know, certifications and degrees in health and wellness. Mm-hmm. And then because they've, you know, chances are they probably led some PT sessions in their life, right? But now getting the certifications behind it and, you know, entrepreneurial jobs, like don't just go be a personal trainer. Like we're talking about now, go be a personal trainer to start getting to pay your bills. But, in the meantime, like you can start working on this to get to the next level. It's a funny thing with JC, when he brought me out the company I work for now, they were struggling getting into the DOD and, you know, getting traction. And I was talking to him and the CEO of the company. I go, the problem is you're hiring all officers. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, you're hiring a bunch of retired colonels and lieutenant colonels because of who they say they are, which they are. You know, they have a lot of connections. But these dudes haven't put their nose to the grindstone and busted their ass in a long time. And I was like, you should hire some E8s and E9s who know people but still know how to work. I was like, that's where you're going to start firing. So now we have a retired SEAL, we got a retired Air Force E8, and the company's doing great. And you know, rocking and rolling, getting some good training, some good people. So yeah, I'm glad this conversation shifted that way. It's like, yeah, what do you do when you get out? Like, how do you make yourself marketable? And like you said, be realistic. You still got to pay the bills.
Yeah, I mean, continue your. If this book, we always say, if this book takes off and I can make a living at this and comparable, would 100% do it. I enjoy it. But in the meantime, I'm not. You know, I'm going to show up to work. Well, I'm not going to telework anymore, so I'll be at work Monday morning, 8:00, like I've been told. Okay, which whatever. I understand the reason behind it, but it also is, I think, a little short. But I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, no, you're exactly right. And like the Pentagon's a great example. When I got up there, there's not a single NCO in that building. I was like, what happened to this command team relationship? I mean, you're yin and yang. What is going on here? There is no. I was literally in training. The Army side of the house, the training shop. I'm like, where's the NCOs?
Oh, wow.
And they're like getting new stuff for tanks and how long it takes to hang armor and get to the gunnery range and looking at me. I'm like, well, I'm infantry. I don't know. Where's our armor guy? Where's our armor sergeant major? Or no, nothing. So the O's are all discussing it. And I'm like, ugh, do you really know? When's the last time you've been out there and, you know, got to the ranges, doing the tables and stuff? I don't know it. I guarantee you don't know it. And you're putting artificial timelines in and Exords? Ooh.
I don't even want to talk about this subject.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Because my current employment has me working with a lot of those same people who are trying to put a new infantry squad rifle and machine gun into operation. And you can tell that there's a lot of officers involved. You can tell. And not only can you tell that there's a lot of officers involved, but when you get to stand back and listen to officers talk sometimes, you realize how incredibly full of shit they are and don't know at all what they're talking about. They just throw out as many catchphrases as they can and confuse you with that, like give you a little smoke and mirrors, and then they disappear. And you're just
Yeah,
like,
they'll listen to a Jocko podcast and have a whole new freaking method of leadership coming up next week. We're going to work on this. I listened to Jocko about it. Like, oh, God,
yeah. Hey, let's circle back. We'll put a pin in this. We'll circle back. We'll see if we can get some synergy going, and then we'll really start getting into the weeds. Shut up. Like, you don't. So basically, we're not doing anything. Clearly, we're just not going to do anything. Wait till I tell Elon on you. I'm telling. Doge
oh man,
going to be fucking busting in your door.
Nice. All right. Yeah. Well, unless you, Sean, anything else you want to share with the audience, or we start closing it out with the AAR?
No, I really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me on. Like I said, I hope everybody enjoys the book. And I always welcome feedback. So there is a feedback loop on my website. There is ways to contact me and reach out. So again, you guys are probably the same, but then long in the service, your skin's pretty thick. So, even every time I do my drafts for my books, I send them to people. I'm like, tear me up. But, it's okay. You're only going to make me better if you're not honest with me. So appreciate it very much, guys.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah. And we'll definitely bring you back on for when you release Cabal. Yep. And then the third part. But yeah, quick hot wash, quick AAR. We have drunk aliens with no ears running around.
And high apparently too.
And high. No, it turns out they're not high, but after everything that the higher superpowers that these aliens are, they all became Methodists. And that's a fact. So every time you go to a Methodist church, it's just a bunch of aliens with no ears that are doing meth.
Make sure you bring your snake and your pipe.
Yeah, with the snake, but that's the Pentecostal one. And then, don't buy Kobe ground beef. That's not what it's for.
Or Buddy will beep, beep you.
Yeah, or Buddy will get you on to take your entire bank account and make sure that you cannot do something stupid. It's for your own good. Right? It's just, I'm taking your money so you don't buy ground up Kobe beef. And again, it seems like a little bit of victim blaming, Buddy. I think we should go after the source of who ground up the Kobe beef in the first place.
Hey, you know what? They wouldn't do it if there wasn't a market.
So there you go. And then we had Sean come on, who did not have to tell anybody he was special operations because we did it for him. However, no, he comes from great people, great references, and a lot of served in some really awesome units. And he didn't write a book about that. He wrote a fiction book that is super, super awesome. It's called Jones Point. So scan the QR code, get up there, and get the book. Help support veteran authors, because again, I'm not as far in as David is, but it grips you right away.
It does.
Right away. So yeah, give the book a shot. If you're listening on the podcast, go to our YouTube channel or to VeteranTrashTalk.com. Download some of the links where you can get some of these the book links that are on the chat thread. So yeah, that's the AAR. Dave, close us out.
You covered it all already. Hey, if you tuned in late, go to VeteranTrashTalk.com. It has the links to everything that Nick just mentioned. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and please like. How many viewers do we have on YouTube right now? Because I know we're shadow banned over there.
The highest we got to 4. Now we're, I think, down to 2, because I know that we're winding down.
Anybody that's watching, whether you're watching on Facebook, wherever, go over to YouTube real quick. Give us a subscribe. Give us a like. Help us push this episode through the algorithm. Go to shop.veterantrashtalk.com. That's where you can get our awesome merch. I am wearing the OG Gruntworks shirt. Okay. QR code's right down there. Scan that in. And we'll catch you guys next Saturday. Basement MVTT out. Peace.